It's time for the Skyhawks Coaches Corner, recorded live at the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum.
Welcome to the Skyhawks Coaches Corner for this week. I'm Bob Bonner, your host at the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum. We'll be talking cross country this week with coaches Joshua Coon and Brett Sublett. Athletes Stephen Nez and Makiah Salzano will join us later, but we will start things off with men's coach Joshua Coon. Just put a wrap on your fall season at the RMAC Championships. Why don't you start telling us a little bit about how the weekend went?
Well, kind of a wrap. We have a few guys that'll keep going. So it was a mixed bag. Like guys like Steven, John, Cody ran really well. Some other guys didn't quite run up to where they know they can be, and afterwards they realized they missed a good chance. So we're encouraged. We're trending positively and know we can get better, but also celebrating the three guys that made the National Invitational. So.
Tell us a little bit about the season in general. It was you're one of only two sports that got to compete this fall because of coronavirus and the restrictions. What was it like getting together at the start of the season, adjusting to some restrictions and some regulations, and then having a season that was shortened and downplayed a little bit, honestly, from years past? How was that experience?
Yeah, I mean, it was different. Everything's different, but the thing we talked about the whole time was gratitude. And 2/3 of the country isn't racing, so we constantly were talking about what a gift it was to be practicing racing, and not to take that for granted. We know what it's like to lose it. So a lot of schools have still lost it. So so we were committed early on to make it the best we could be and adjust to things like masks and do what we had to do to make it, in weekly testing, to make it to the RMAC Championships, which we did. So.
And it all came down to getting a chance to run and compete this fall, which until a few weeks before the season, like you said, nobody even thought you'd be able to do it for sure.
Yeah.
So in addition to the gratitude of just being able to get out and run and compete, what were some of the real high points for you? Some of the runners who took big steps this fall, took advantage of it to grow a little bit. Some of the high points at some of the meets you did have.
Yeah, well, I think some of the guys that we really want to shout out, or they've just done the work for 3.5 years, is Steven, who's up next, and Cody Speece. Like, they took the long road, no shortcuts, and they're seeing some results of that now. So we went down to Texas. Some teams got knocked out because of COVID, but we ended up winning a meet. That was fun. For me, the highlight was just the everyday. Guys came engaged, ready to just do what they love to do. Is memorable for a lot of reasons, but in a way, the normalcy of just getting to do what we get to do was the highlight for me. Yeah, to do something normal, because that's not a thing all the time now.
Runners got to run.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to be able to get to do that. Now, you talked about your senior leaders and the role they played for you. A lot of newcomers and transfers this year on your team, and they ended up being some impact runners for you. John, Ricardo, Elko. Kyle, talk a little bit about some of the new guys.
Yeah, I mean, John had to sit out a year. He was very patient. He took his, and he still has 2 years of eligibility left, so we're excited about his future. He's run 1440. Elko is a freshman with a huge upside, local kid, Ignacio, ran for Bayfield too with the program differences. But, we've got a group. I mean, there were 14 guys that were in the running to make the RMAC roster, and so we've got depth we've never had. We've got just a lot of hungry guys. So, yeah.
And you're building a program here, building back to something, and a 7th place finish at the RMAC. Where does that put you as far as your timeline goes, your expectations go? You always want to do a little better, but realistically, as you grow a program, is that about the rate you can expect? And what does that set you up for in the spring with track coming up then?
Yeah, I mean, typically in the RMAC's the cream of the crop in D2. There's usually 5 or 6 top 25 teams on the men's side. So we've been right on that line for a couple of years, and that last step, kicking down the door, is probably going to be the toughest. And we didn't quite put it together as a team this weekend. So. Where there's positives, there's growth, but definitely not satisfied, because we think we have the guys to be higher up, but we got to race better in some respects. So
Okay, so if
and
you
yeah,
got the guys,
Yeah.
what do you do to kick down the door? What's the magic shoe that knocks it off its hinges? What do you tell your guys they got to do this winter?
I think some of them, it's just natural growth, kind of like Steven and Cody, just taking their time to grow up, to grow as a runner. We know there's talents, we know that there's the potential. So some of them, it's just, I think, a little bit of time, and getting a good track season will help. And, after losing that developmental spot last spring, so yeah.
What do you have them do? What do runners do? A lot of them will do Nordic around here. I do know that. But what do the kids do in the wintertime? What does a runner do in the wintertime? The snow's going to start piling up.
You put in miles. Winter's a great time to get in shape. You adjust for the conditions. We do have guys that do that Nordic ski and cross train and cycle. So there's a lot of opportunity around Durango to get fit in other ways too. But yeah, we'll keep foot on the pedal all winter for sure.
And foot on the pedal now, or do you take a little break at the end of the season to rest up a little bit?
Yeah, most of the guys will take a break the next couple of weeks, and then we'll slowly put the foot on the pedal. But December, January, they stay consistent, and there's no magic formulas in this. Consistency is the biggest. Guys like Steven, Cody, Makiah are testaments to that. Just
do the work.
Consistently, over the long haul. So.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us, Joshua. Coach Joshua Coon with us from the Fort Lewis College men's Skyhawks cross-country team. We're going to go ahead and take a break and be back with one of Joshua's runners, Stephen Nez, right after this.
After an ACL injury, it's important to involve a physical therapist in your recovery process. Our physical therapist over at Mercy Sports Medicine will use a video camera and analysis of your knee motion to ensure that your knee is more normalized so that we can more safely return you to the field of play. If you suspect a knee injury, your first step should be to call Mercy Sports Medicine.
Welcome back to the Skyhawks Coaches Corner. I'm your host, Bob Bonner, at the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum. Joined now by men's cross-country team member Stephen Nez, the team's top finisher at last week's RMAC Championships. Stephen, I want to talk to you about your whole season, but first of all, wow, what a jump from 81st a year ago to 26th this year in a second-team all-conference nod. Are you still in that, boy, this feels pretty good phase here?
Yeah, I mean, after the race, I just felt really speechless. I didn't know what to say. I was just really excited, and I kind of just took it in the moment. I wasn't just very speechless. Yeah.
Tell us about the race. How did it feel? Did you have to fight it, or did you just feel pretty good right from the start? Runners succeed through either kind of circumstances. What kind of a race day was it for you? Was it one where you woke up in the morning, everything went right, or was it one you kind of had to fight things to get there?
So when I woke up in the morning, I just really wanted to be optimistic about the day, and just I know I talked to my coaches, Joshua Coon and Brett Sublett, about what we call the pain train, catching the pain train. So it's that first group of guys that I really wanted to go out hard with and just give it everything I wanted, and that's exactly what I did. I executed, my own mental plan, and I really just hopped on that pain train, and I was hurting, but it was a lot of fun. That's what makes racing fun.
So you went out with the lead pack and just stayed with them. You gave yourself that challenge and were able to live up to it.
Yeah, I did what I could with what I had. It was tough, but mentally, the biggest thing was getting my mental ability in the correct position, instead of because like I said, I feel like I always had the physical ability. It's just the mental state of mind I had to get correct.
So leading up then to the RMACs, a nice a nice season for you. Second place finish at the Buffalo Stampede, probably the highlight of that. Those types of finishes through the year, did that give you the belief at the RMAC Championships, that mental edge that you needed? Is that what built it?
Yeah, I think a lot of it just came with confidence. And I owe a lot of that to my teammates as well, like John, Cody, just pushing me at practice, and just also giving me the ability that I can do pretty good.
Those guys going to keep pushing you through the winter now, heading into the outdoor track season in the spring. Obviously, you're saying nice things about them. It's a friendly rivalry on the team, but How serious is that rivalry between runners on the team?
I don't think it's that huge of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're all supportive of each other, and that's the thing I love about the team. It's a great group of guys. I mean, from our first guy to our last guy, it's just we're all in it together, and that's what makes running just beautiful on this team. That's what I like. Yeah.
So it's more when it comes to motivating each other out on the trail, and I've seen different teams do it different ways. A lot of times it depends on the personalities. You guys are doing it more through support than maybe smack talking each other. You're picking each other up a little more.
Yeah, and I think that's the way it should be. I mean, either way you can succeed, but I mean, just the way that the team was built from Joshua and Brett, just the way it was instilled in us is just to be supportive of each other and just have like a friendly rivalry, which, you know, it's definitely helping us. Yeah.
Good. Jump ahead now again to the spring and outdoor track, and tell me about the difference between cross country and track for you. What are you looking forward to in the spring that, you know, there's a grind to each, but now cross country, you get to start putting it in the mirror and looking towards the spring. What do you look forward to in track?
Track, I really look forward to the 5K, and that's my favorite sport. It's more of like, the way I describe it, it's more of a full-on sprint for like 3 miles compared to cross country is more of a strategic race, and that's the biggest difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to play a little rapid fire with you. Just give you a few questions real quick, and give me your best, just off the top of your head, give me an answer. If you weren't running in college, what sport do you wish you could play? If you weren't a runner, which sport would you want to be in?
Basketball.
Basketball?
Yeah.
Okay. Running, sunshine or rain? What's a better day to run in?
Sunshine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Morning or night?
Night runs are nice.
You like night runs?
Yeah.
Okay, you already said your favorite track event was the 5K for me. So give me your biggest moment, whether it's in college, high school. What is your biggest race moment? What's your best memory?
I was telling Coach this the other day. I think it was about 2 years ago when we raced in Denver. It was snowing and it was like super cold, and it was wet, it was windy, and just that brotherhood at the end of the race, just because, you know, a lot of the other sports don't do that. You know, you're racing the cold, the wind, and you're just shivering, and that's the biggest race. I think that was RMAC Championships 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you like running in the sun, but your favorite memory was a time when you ran in the knot, huh?
Yeah.
Wait, no, that's what memories are made of.
Yeah.
Good, I love it. Nope, and that's what competing's all about, is the challenge and the adversity, especially if you're a runner.
Yeah.
So good luck moving on, Stephen. Thank you for joining us here today. Stephen Nez from the Fort Lewis College Skyhawks men's cross country team. We're going to go ahead and take another break, and we'll be back with Coach Brett Sublett right after this.
You can't stop the snow from falling, but you can make sure it doesn't slow you down. The Kubota Grand L Series, featuring an enclosed cab and all the snow removal equipment you need, is the ultimate package for outstanding performance, comfort, and taking on winter. Right now, get financing as low as 0% APR for up to 60 months, plus a 6-year limited powertrain warranty. See your local Kubota dealer today.
Southwest Ag, your Four Corners all-season equipment superstore, online at swaginc.com.
Welcome back to the Skyhawks Coaches Corner here at the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum. Joined now by head women's cross country coach Brett Sublett. Coach, your team, we'll jump right into it. You guys just finished up your fall season as well at the RMAC Championships. Moving up to an 8th place finish this year after a 10th place finish a year ago. In growing a program and in looking to improve every year, jumping 2 spots, that's got to feel pretty good.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it's good progress. It was a little bit of a strange year, but you know, we worked hard over the summer. That's when a lot of the groundwork is laid, you know, during a distance running season. So a lot of the work was done in June, July, and August, and we reaped the women reaped the benefits of some of that hard work. And yeah, 8th place is good progress, but a lot more work to do and a lot more improvement to be made.
Never satisfied, but happy in making the progress that you think you need to make.
For sure. And yeah, you can't get too satisfied, or you know, you wouldn't be a long distance runner if you were too content with where you are. You always have to work hard.
Are you saying you'd be a sprinter? No, Coach, talk a little bit. You said that it was an unusual season, and being able to take steps in a season when, yeah, let's face it, a lot of people didn't even know if there was going to be a season. Just a few weeks before you guys were able to get started, there was still some uncertainty. And then coming in, you had to adjust to face mask and social distancing and a lot of other things. And you guys, cross country and golf being the only two sports that were able to go, you guys have kind of written the book now for everybody else to follow, but you had to find a lot of stuff out yourselves along the way. How unusual was that getting started this fall?
Very unusual. One of the hardest things was, as I mentioned earlier, doing a lot of training on your own in the summertime. And just like everybody else in the country, there was a lot of uncertainty going through the summer. And so as we were having Zoom meetings, the team and I having Zoom meetings over the summer, we didn't know if school was going to be in session, if we were going to have a competitive season, if we were even going to be able to practice. So that was one of the hard things, is maintaining that motivation to work out and train on your own during the summer when we didn't even know what lay ahead.
Right.
So kudos to all the women for working hard over the summer when there was so much uncertainty ahead of us, and putting in that work. But once we got here to Durango and school was in session, most of it was just the adaptability and the flexibility of the women on the team, of a constantly shifting landscape, of what we had to do in order to maintain our season and in order to practice, and all the protocols, safety protocols that were put in place, and everybody just without hesitating adapted to all of that, and we were able to stay safe, able to continue our season, which is due to the hard work and the perseverance of the team.
Well, when we talk about coaches, especially when there's some uncertainty and some newness to things, you tend to count on your leaders, your athletes who've been around, that you've worked with before, who know you, you know them. And Makiah Salzano will be joining us here in a little bit. She had a fantastic campaign, capped off the 29th place finish at the RMAC Championships. How important was her leadership, both the example she set this year and what her and some of the other veteran runners did as far as setting the tone at practices and workouts?
Oh yeah, I mean what Makiah has done over the last year and a half, just is writing the book on what it takes to become a successful runner. You gotta put your head down and do the hard work, and don't settle for second best. And so she set a shining example. We were fortunate that Makiah stayed in Durango over the summer along with a few of our other women, and as I mentioned earlier, the foundation and the work you do in the summer really is indicative of what kind of season you're going to have. And so she set a great example for the other women of when it's June and July, cross country season seems a long way off, but that's when you have to do a lot of training, and that's what's going to make or break your season. And she set that example for all of our younger runners.
And you had plenty of younger runners, and a lot of them ended up playing a pretty significant role on your squad by the end of the fall season. Talk a little bit about some of the other runners and some of the growth you saw in them and some of the highlights that they gave you this year.
Yeah, number one, going back to not to harp on the COVID theme, but a lot of these girls right out of high school, 18 years old, and there's a lot of changes being a freshman in college, regardless of whether you're a student athlete or whether there's coronavirus or not. So they had a lot on their plate, like moving away from home, being in a new environment, being on a new team, collegiate racing, collegiate training. So the changes that they had to adapt to, and the new world that they embraced was really challenging, and they all just adapted to it with no hesitation, no problem. A lot of that, and thanks to our junior and senior leadership on the team. But yeah, those gals had a whole new world to adapt to, coming from high school and living at home, and now they're running in masks, and we have to run in smaller pods and smaller groups, and we can't have the same, we can't have team dinners, and we can't have team gatherings, and so there were many challenges, and the younger women on the team really stepped up.
4 of them ended up running at the RMACs for you. Was that something you anticipated? You knew you had a lot of new bodies coming in, but did you really anticipate they'd be able to contribute that quickly?
Optimistically, yes. You never know in recruiting. Worked hard in recruiting to try to attract some women that came from successful high school programs and winning high school programs, because I really believe that it sets a mentality of what it takes in order to succeed. And so they were able to step up into the limelight and onto the big stage in the RMAC and have some success early on. And also believe that creates a lot of maturity. Racing in the RMAC championship is about as big a stage as you're going to get in Division II. So it was a big leap for a lot of them, but they all met the challenge.
Looking ahead now to the spring, you and I, about 8 months ago, sat down to talk about your first year as the women's track coach here at Fort Lewis College, and later that day we got word that there wasn't going to be a track season. At risk of jinxing it, let's look ahead to the spring a little bit, and I poked fun at sprinters, but David tells me that a couple of the events that you feel like this group could be strong in the spring, or if you will, the sprints of distance running, the half mile and the mile, the 800 and the 1500 meter runs. Tell me a little bit about this group of runners and what their prospects are for the spring. Tease us a little.
Yeah, well, looking ahead for us, Bob, means like looking to tomorrow morning.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really look this season. We don't look
right.
much further ahead than that. So because things can change
sure.
At the drop of a hat. So, but no, seriously, looking into the spring and outdoor track. I'm a big believer in utilizing those shorter distance, those middle distance events to kind of hone your skills and become a more versatile athlete. Cross country and the summer before cross country is all about laying that base mileage and the foundation. And we get into track, and it's time to kind of turn and burn and get some turnover and run fast. And that sets you up well for cross country season. And it's just a constantly evolving process. But we've got a lot of women that are going to be running 800, 1600, maybe some steeplechase. And so I think it really just, you become a more complete runner by running some of those shorter distance events, and you have a little more, tricks up your sleeve than just like, okay, I only do 5K and out. Right. It's easy to kind of get into that, get into a rut. So I like to shake things up and get some of the runners out of their comfort zone a little bit, in order to make them better runners and more well-rounded runners. So
it's got to be kind of fun for them too. You said turn and burn, not something you hear in cross-country circles a lot, but the opportunity to pin your ears back in go's got to be kind of fun for a distance runner to have a coach pushing them like that.
Yeah, and you get into track season, and also times become more relevant. In cross-country, since the courses are also different and conditions can change, and so you're not really chasing numbers. You're more just running for place, and you're trying to you're trying to beat the other teams. Right. You get to track, and you get the numbers and the times are more relevant, and so it's sort of fun to set some hard some goals for yourself and say, okay, I want to break 5 minutes in the mile, or I want to break different
right.
goals, and
right.
and on a track that's a little bit more realistic.
Definitely makes it a different season for the athletes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us. Coach Brett Sublett of the Fort Lewis College Skyhawks women's cross-country team. We're going to take one more break, and when we return, Makiah Salzano will be with us to talk about her RMAC championships and a little bit about this spring right after these.
We know that there are certain sports that are more at risk to have ankle injuries. And so for my athletes in those types of sports, I'm often recommending not only preventative fitness activities, but also stretching and maintenance exercises for proprioception, and even so far in some situations, preventative bracing or taping. And you're struggling with either a current injury or an injury from the past that's causing you to have pain and dysfunction, I highly encourage you to get over with Mercy Sports Medicine. The athletic trainers there are a great first line of contact for ankle injuries in general. And then also if you need a consultation here at Mercy Orthopedics with me, they can help that happen seamlessly.
Welcome back to the Skyhawks Coaches Corner at the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum. Joined now by Makiah Salzano, who just finished up her season leading the women's cross-country team to the RMAC championships and just missing all conference honors with a 29th place finish. Same time though, your 6K time, a personal best there. I'll ask you the same thing I asked Steven. Did you wake up in the morning knowing it was going to be a great race, or did you have to fight through preparation a little bit?
I really wanted it to be an amazing race. There was I think I felt a lot of pressure because it was potentially my last race, if the team didn't make it. And I just was like, okay, well, I'm just going to be in my head and just tell myself I've done everything I can for this. Keep the routine of pre-race breakfast, pre-race thoughts, pre-race, team stuff just exactly the same. And there's nothing you can do the day of to make or break a race.
So you took the guesswork out of it, just followed your routine?
Yeah.
And then did you run the race? Was it a routine kind of race for you, or did you have some challenges to overcome on the course?
There was a little challenge, I think, in running a 6K, because the whole season we spent running 5Ks. And I had never been at where I am now, fitness-wise. So I wasn't really sure how to pace the race. So I just treated it as a 5K and hoped that I could just finish the last K, which was a little hard. Definitely hit a wall the last 300, 400 meters where that was really rough. But other than that, it was fine.
Other than the final quarter mile, and both of my daughters ran cross country, and I know that they were always terrified of the wall.
Yeah.
They were so afraid of the wall that I think they often cost themselves position.
Yeah.
Was that a real thing for you in the morning? Being too worried about the wall, or was it fairly easy to overcome that?
I know that, you can hit a wall and then you're just going to have to feel the pain. So I knew I was going to hit a wall. I just was worried how soon I was going to hit it. And I think I held out a little bit better than I thought I would. Still hit the wall.
You could see the finish line at least by the time you hit it. That always helps.
Turning the corner, I was like, oh no.
Now, Coach, in one of the ways that you fight through pain is through preparation. And Coach talked about the preparation you did, the summer you put in. You weren't even one of the top 5 runners on the Skyhawks team a year ago. You turned in 2 top 10 finishes this fall. Tell us, is it just a question of miles, or was there some specific training you did this summer too?
I think there was a lot of different things that went into it. Probably attitude, changing my attitude just a little bit towards everything, towards training, towards team bonding, towards even healthy eating. I wasn't the healthiest person. And then just consistency with it all, honestly, because you can be healthy for a week, it's not going to affect anything.
Right.
You could train for 3 months, and if you don't keep it's not going to do anything. So just being consistent with everything, focusing probably more on less perfection, more okay, 85% of the time I want to do my best, and then if I slack a little bit, then it's okay. Instead of all or nothing sort of mentality, I think is what really helped me not burn out, if that makes sense.
Sure it does. Well, and like Coach said, you're not running against watches. It's cross country. You're not making loops on a track. So at what point, or was it in that first meet this fall that you realized that the work had paid off, or was there a point this summer where you went, I'm getting faster, I'm getting better?
I did not notice or pay attention until I think our time trial. We had a team time trial at the Durango High School track, and I was like, oh, I'm going too fast. But I felt fine for the first mile. I'm like, well, maybe I should just try to hold this pace. And then the second mile was fine too. And I was like, well, geez, maybe the work did pay off then, because I was feeling better than I'd ever had before.
So what does that do for you now for the winter? Do you give yourself a rest now? Have you met a goal? How big of a break are you going to give yourself now before you get back at it?
I don't know. Probably just until I really miss it, which will probably only be a few days. But maybe after a week, I'll go and do some just short jogs, no watch, no uploading to Strava or nothing, just short running, and then probably two weeks maximum, and then I'll start training.
Are you going to be in kind of a sweet spot where it's just going to be nice to be a runner for a while, where you can just you get to just do a little running therapy this winter?
Yeah, that would be nice, but I honestly do enjoy the competitiveness of it all and just seeing improvements. So I'm pretty stoked for in a few weeks when I start training hard
At some
again.
point, it'll be scenic jogs will
Yeah.
quickly give way to you pushing yourself again.
Yes.
Okay,
Definitely.
I see we're getting the signal, so we're going to run through 5 quick questions with you. Okay, same thing as we did with Steven.
Okay.
All right, first one: if you weren't a runner and playing a different sport at Fort Lewis College, what would it be?
Soccer. I actually tried out for their team.
Okay, all right. No, that's a good one. Okay, would you rather run on a hot sunny day or a cool rainy day?
Cool rainy day in California, hot sunny day in Colorado.
Okay, that's probably a pretty good leap. You like running in the morning or evening better?
Morning, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. When it comes to track, what's your event? What event do you like?
Steeplechase.
Okay. Okay. And then the final question is, what's your most memorable run?
I think the one when I think it was 2 years ago and it was freezing cold in Denver. It was RMAC and everyone was just miserable, but we all bonded because of it. It was.
That's
hard.
the same answer Steven gave. So I got to give you one more question just to build off that. Is that just because you're runners? Your most miserable moment, both of you pick is your favorite moment from your college careers. Is that just something about runners? Is that part of the mentality?
I guess so. I mean, we're all about like no pain, no gain, I guess. So the most miserable one's gonna be the the best one.
Well, I'm glad the pain paid off and plenty of gain for you this fall, and good luck in the spring.
Thank you very much.
Makiah Salzano, our last guest on this week's edition of the Skyhawks Coaches Corner. I'm your host, Bob Bonner. Thank you to everybody for joining us. And thank you to Al and the gang here at the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum. What a great setting to host the show in every week. We look forward to seeing you all next week. Until then, have a good one, everybody.